had an interesting story about Kevin Durant yesterday. That was on Get Up. It got some traction. If you didn't see it, take a listen.
A couple years ago, we're at a holiday party, and I came on this show, and I did a segment with you, and I said we had Anthony Davis and we had Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I said, you know what, Anthony Davis and KD would have a baby. The similarities, physicality-wise, would be like Giannis.
Yeah.
Right? I go to the holiday party. Kevin Durant comes up to me and says, yo, don't you ever compare me to Giannis. Don't you ever compare me to Giannis. I said, KD, what are you talking about? You know, I was just talking about similarities, physicality-wise, size, length. He's like, no, don't you ever compare me to Giannis. So when I see that matchup, you know what that matchup says to me? That's something personal for Kevin Durant. That's who he's attacking each and every day, because that's been in his brain, because people have talked about Giannis being on the same level. That's the kind of intensity you're seeing in this rivalry.
All right, Katie tweeted this in response. Mans will do anything to advance their careers in this media expletive, wanting to be accepted by an industry that will dispose of you whenever they please. Keep me out of all that corny expletive talk, who's better and legacy and all that dumb expletive. I don't even talk like that. Jay Will responded this morning to Kevin Durant on KJZ.
Number one, I stand by my story. Number two, I was probably wrong for sharing a personal story, but that's what we do. That's what we do here on our show. And it was meant as a compliment for Kevin Durant to show that there were levels to this and that he was actually right. There are different levels between KD and Giannis. I sat there yesterday. I'm not going to get into this whole spat back and forth on social media, tit for tat. I don't live my life that way. I rise above that. I don't attack people's character. Reached out to his team, talked to Rich Kleiman about it. Like, I got nothing but love for KD. I want them to win a championship. You guys have known I'm from Jersey. I've always been a Nets fan. I love how it translates to Brooklyn. And that's the end of that for me.
All right, Kendrick, I'm going to start with you, but just one question, guys. I thought that Jay Will and Katie were boys, so I was just curious. I didn't get to ask Jay Will this, if they fell out before this, or was this just like everything was good and then this response happened? So I'd be curious to know that detail. I don't know if either of you do. I'll start with you. Perk, is this fair or foul?
It's fair, but Molly, Max, whatever happens in the boardroom stays in the boardroom, you know? I'm just asking. Whatever happened to that. But at the end of the day, look, it's fair, okay? KD has the right to speak out, okay? He can say what he wants. He has the right to respond. And look, it's a few issues I have with this problem overall with Jay and KD. The issue that I have with Jay Will is that he was right. He was giving KD props. But the code is that if you're going to share a personal story, okay, from one of your brothers that you talked about behind closed doors, one-on-one, or something that was said in private, you need to call that person and get their consent and make sure that it's okay to share that story before you share. That's the only problem I had with Jay Will. And whether it was a lie or not, I don't know. I'm not here to decide who's telling the truth. I really don't care, okay? But for us with KD, if you're going to respond, put an address on it. Address who you talking to. Because if I wasn't a person that didn't know what was going on, I would have thought that he was talking to the media in general, right? And I had another problem with the tweet. When he said the part in the middle where he was like, you know, you're trying to do, I guess, so much to impress, you know, basically an industry that will dispose of you when they're done with you. Well, that's every job in the world, KD. You know, that's every job in the world. That's not just ESPN. Hell, it happens in the NBA. If you're not doing your job, if you're not bringing to the table, if you're not trying to be good, if you're not trying to be great, they'll dispose of you. If you're in Walmart and you're the general manager and you're making sure that people are held, not making sure people are held accountable, and a cereal box get put on the paper towel aisle, you know what? They'll dispose of you as the general manager because you're not holding people accountable. That's the only problem that I had with Jay Will, for us, with him putting it out without asking KD and getting his consent. And that's the only two problems I had with KD. Put an address on it, and then on top of that, disposal like that just don't happen in ESPN. That happens all over the United States in every job that every person that has a job.
it was foul of KD, period. It was foul of KD. Jay made a mistake. No, make it foul. Jay made an honest mistake. Let me tell you what I mean. Jay Williams, off camera, we see him a lot at the Seaport. I talk to Jay off camera all the time. Jay Williams stumps for KD behind the scenes. He's always slipping KD into debates about who's the best, where should he be, GOAT, all that kind of stuff. He's always promoting a KD agenda, not because he's trying to trade on some relationship or anything like that. There's nothing in it for him other than he really believes in the dude. He thinks he's the best, it seems to me. And he's always upping KD in private conversations. If you're just kind of talking to Jay Williams, he's upping him. Now, what he said was not done out of malice. It was not done to be opportunistic. He was wrong to share a story, Perk, as you said, without clearing it. But it wasn't done with bad intentions. The remedy for that, if you're KD, is pick up the phone and say, yo, what'd you do that for? And then you have it out behind the scenes, right? And you figure it out. You don't put him on blast. For example, I just shared a story with you about Jay Will that happens behind the scenes. Obviously, I didn't do it with malice. I did it to make Jay Will look good because I believe he deserves to in this situation, at least his intentions. If Jay has a problem with that, yo, Max, that stuff we talk about off camera. Don't share that without talking to me about it. I would expect him to approach me about it, not to put me on blast publicly. Now, KD put it in, he didn't use Jay Will's name. So you're saying, hey, put a name to it. Maybe KD feels like by not using his name, he's kind of not really going all out on Jay. But the point was, sometimes you might divulge something publicly that you shouldn't. Oh, damn, I really shouldn't have said that. We're not talking about a retired player. I didn't even consider that he's kind of downing Giannis there. Maybe he doesn't want me to say that out loud. And you work it out behind the scenes. The difference is intention. Jay did not, his intent clearly was not malicious. KD got mad and came at him when that also should have been handled privately.
Max, this is what you fail to realize, okay? KD came out and he said it was a lie, okay? He didn't want his name attached to it. Because you know what could happen is that people around the league, guys around the league, we don't know the relationship of Giannis and KD. We don't know if they're cool or not outside of basketball. And you know what can happen is Giannis can say, oh, I didn't know KD felt this way about me. And you're wrong, Max, because before we come on First Take, before you do the Max Kellerman show, what do you have, right? A production meeting. What do you have? Preparation, right? So you know what you're about to go on television and say. You know the topics that you're about to address. So don't come on here telling me that it's a mistake that you just...
Listen, Rook,
I'm not going to sit up here and come...
You're good on the radio, right?
Max.
Let me tell you about radio, especially when you're doing a 3-hour show. Yes, there's preparation, but you have to leave room to improvise. You're talking, you're in a conversation, you go where the conversation takes you. Something may come to mind that you hadn't prepared. You're sharing a little insight. That stuff, the question is, when you do it, did you do it recklessly? Did you do it maliciously? Did you do it with the intent to lie or harm? Or was it a mistake? Clearly, Jay Will's was a simple mistake that could have been remedied behind the scenes. That was not the route KD chose to take. And he's doing it to a dude who only ever ups him.
Max, are you serious right now? He started off by telling, and I love Jay Will, great friend of mine. So is KD. But did you not hear him start off on the get up with Greeny? And he started off and he said, hey, Greeny, can Uncle Jay tell you a story real quick? So he walked into the studio with this story on his mind. And what I'm trying to tell you, Max, is when you're dealing with this type of, when we're dealing in the media as a former player, right? I'm friends with a lot of guys right now that are still playing the game. I'm friends with a lot of GMs that are still GMing and coaching. And some of the conversations that we have, I would never put out there in the media.
But there's a gray area with some of it, Perk. Some of it, obviously, you wouldn't, and some of it you can get caught slipping. That's what happened. Jay just got caught slipping. And by the way, let me ask you a question point blank. You think he did it with malice, or was it an honest mistake? Did Jay do that maliciously, or was it an honest mistake?
Max, that it was. Look, it wasn't an honest mistake because his story was so laid out. He stopped.
He's saying it's
breathing.
saying, hold on. What he's saying is it's premeditated. That's what Perk is saying. It didn't just slip out.
Even if it was
there's no malice, but he thought about, I'm going into studio, I'm going to tell this story. I have not cleared this with Kevin Durant.
No.
There was a plan behind it.
Even if it was premeditated, I'm still saying it was an honest mistake. Even if, in other words, Jay didn't think, I don't believe. Maybe you do, Perk. That's the answer I want. I have this story about KD. KD's not going to want me to share it. I'm going to share it anyway. I think he just thought, I have a story about KD that's relevant. And then after the fact was like, oh, damn, KD didn't want me to share that once KD made that public. The difference is, I believe one dude made an honest mistake, premeditated or not. The other dude got mad and put him on blast publicly.
Molly, can I ask you a question before we go?
Yeah.
Right? You're married to one of my good friends in Jalen Rose, right?
Yeah.
And he also has a lot of brothers that are still in the NBA, that are coaching, that are GMs, right? He knows that certain stories he can't come out and say, or if he do decide to tell a story, don't he pick up the phone and call those people and get those permissions before he go on national television?
So you believe that Jay knew? So you believe Jay knew KD wouldn't want him sharing, and he shared anyway?
Max, I'm asking Molly a simple question.
I know as for Jalen, in terms of evaluating guys, he always wants to be fair. So regardless if it's his friend, someone he has a relationship with, if there's criticism regarding his game, he's going to be fair across the board. Everyone's fair game, equal opportunist there. But as far as personal stories, yeah, Jalen wouldn't share without approval. But that's just how he is. He's very tight-lipped and very